Hey everybody, this is Christina Cat 3, and I am making a video response to ZipBlockBloody's job rant. And god damn it, like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Jobs suck nowadays. You know, everything starts out good, and then next thing you know, they're cutting your hours, docking your pay, or spacing out like the times that you get raises or whatever, and just, you know, fucking your life completely. Same thing happened to me. Like, I was working at Domino's and I was a manager there. I was a shift runner, and then they kind of passed this like law where, you know, they didn't want shift runners anymore. They wanted people who pretty much wanted to eventually become general managers, which I did not want to do because I'm in college and like I can't make that time commitment, and I don't want to make that commitment to Domino's. Yuck. So they were always giving me shit about like not being able to work so many hours because I had classes, and I guess finally it just came to the head, and like my general manager was told by like his bosses to like just cut my hours so that because they pretty much didn't need me anymore because they had this new chick working there, and it totally sucked because I had been working there for like 4.5 years. Like, I started out as a CSR, like, you know, from the ground up, and like I was promoted to become a manager, and I was even running shifts before I was actually a manager. And you know, so I've always like done a good job there, so like for them to dick me like that kind of sucked. And there was actually a couple incidents that happened where I just could not deal with it anymore, and so I quit. The reason I quit was that my manager, since I don't work there, fuck them, I can say whatever I want to say. Like, he was a total fucking asshole. Like, and the whole thing that happened that made me like quit was he was just cutting the hours, and like one of the other managers that worked there, one night he texted me and he's like, hey dude, like, can you work Monday? And I was like, sure, just make sure you let him know, because he's a dick if, you know, if you change the schedule and you don't tell him. He's like a total dick about it. And of course he didn't tell him, and I didn't know that, so when he found out I was there instead of the person he'd scheduled, he was pissed. So he called him and he told the other managers that he needed to close. And of course he didn't show up, and so I ended up having to close. And like after that incident, the general manager kind of came back like, you know, I shouldn't be pissed at him or whatever. And that just, it got to the point where I was just, you know, disgusted to be around him. Like, every time he came in, I really wanted to pick up the pizza peel and just beat him over the head with it. Like, that's how pissed I was, like, every fucking day. And so it just came to a point where that last Sunday I worked on the 4th of July, I came in and I looked at my schedule, and my hours have been slowly trickling down. Like, at first I was getting like 40 hours, then I was getting like, you know, 32, and then like 25, and then 18, and then it had stayed at 18 for a while. I come in and I had 9 hours, and you know, in like Domino's language, 9 hours means like 6.5 or 7, because you're always going to get either sent home or you're always just going to go home early because, or stay late. But usually in the summertime you tend to go home early because it's just not that busy and there's so many insiders there, they don't need an extra manager. So it was really kind of like, you know, a slap in the face. And he had this other girl working there, this new girl. She had like 52 hours and he had like 62 hours. And he had the nerve to say that, like, oh, there's not enough hours to go around. So I was like, you know what? I was so pissed that, like, that day I just quit. Because I knew I had that other job lined up because they had already told me I was going to be training here and doing this and blah, blah, blah. So I figured that everything would be okay. And so I just put in my 1-week notice, like, at that point, and I just left. That was crap. But it was, you know, it was a bad decision. But before I quit, I had another job lined up, so cliche, at Papa John's, and then all of a sudden they called me and they're like, oh, we had another person get transferred and there's no spot. But it took them like 3 weeks to actually tell me that, you know. So like at that time I was like, oh fuck, you know. So as soon as I realized that like the Papa John's thing was not going to work out, I was, you know, still putting out applications and going on interviews, and shit wasn't panning out. And you know, it just totally sucks. Like, it bites like a motherfucker to be unemployed because like you can't do the things that you want to do, you know, because make no mistake, like, you need money in order to survive. You know, you can't like just be broke and not have a job and expect to be okay unless you have rich parents or a sugar daddy or whatever, of which I have none. I don't have either of those things, so I'm really fucked. But yeah, like I've had a lot of like, you know, dead ends and that haven't panned out, and I think I have one that's gonna turn into a job, but I don't know. And yeah, you know, because jobs just now, they just suck. Like, you know, you start out and everything's cool, and then all of a sudden something gets taken from you, whether it's the amount of hours or the your pay or whatever, and it always like affects what you can do. You know, like I was gonna take an extra class this summer so that I could graduate this year, but I wasn't able to do that because I just did not have the money because of my hours being cut so drastically. And you know, I wanted to go to Otakon this year, like, you know, the big anime convention in Baltimore, but I couldn't go because I didn't have the money. You know, just a lot of things just totally freaking bites, you know. So like, I totally understand where you're coming from with like the whole job thing, and even having a job and still not being able to pay your bills or do the things that you need to do with your money because of the way that the economy is declining and the way that jobs are now as opposed to how they used to be sucks, and it really just puts a damper on like your livelihood and like what you can do and what you can accomplish. So Zip, I totally agree with you with the state of like jobs, you know, and I applaud anybody who has a job that they're actually happy with, that they can actually like come home and like pay their bills and be okay. Like, if you can't hear that was me clapping. But, you know, for everyone else who's like me, unemployed, or like has a job that just isn't happy with it, just, I don't know, fight through it. You'll get there eventually. And if not, you won't live forever. So, that's me signing off. Cat 3. Thanks. Bye.